Hey guys,
I'm Hallie,
and I'm Jamie.
and this is Literal Nonsense.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
I feel like I was just talking to only you in that very moment.
I felt that.
Okay, good. So today we are doing a long-awaited journey. So we're going to be beginning. I got so excited I couldn't even talk. The Dream Harbor series by Lori Gilmore. So we will be starting with the first book of the series, which is Pumpkin Spice Cafe. But we have a real fun story for why this began. Oh, look at you. I was going to ask if you had the book to hold up. Look at you. Amazing. And so this kind of started out really funny. So I had seen this book all over TikTok, and I was like, all right, I want to read it. It's like a nice, like, seasonal, cozy read. And so I went to the bookstore one night. If you've watched our little clip about it, you probably know this story. But for those of you who only listen to the podcast, I'm giving you an update. So if you heard it already, sorry. So I go to the bookstore and I'm like, all right, I'll pick it up maybe, whatever. I'm looking around, yada, yada. So I see the book and the whole series on this table. And I go to grab it and there's a sign and it's like, oh, author event tomorrow. Like the date was the day after I was there. And it was like Lori Gilmore. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, she's coming here? Like to my little old town. And then so I went to the nice lady at the desk and I was like, hi, like I'm confused. Like Lori Gilmore's coming here. And she's like, yeah, she's doing like a Q&A and like gonna sign books. And I was like, well, isn't that something special? So then I immediately called Hallie and I was like, hey, you have to come do this with me because I don't want to go alone. And obviously we read all these books together and all that stuff. So I was like, surprise, here's what we're doing next.
Yeah. I was like sitting on the couch when she texted me, and I was just like so not in the mood to socialize. And I was like, how about no? And Jamie's like, no, we're going. And I was like,
Yeah, I was like, you just don't have a choice, actually.
She was like, I'm buying you the book. And I was like, okay.
Well, yeah. And, I feel like sometimes, especially with like the podcast itself, whatever, like we plan what we want to do, like sometimes far in advance. And I feel like the ones that are like spontaneous just talk to us more,
Yeah.
Like, there'll be some reason we want to read a book and we're like, oh, we'll get to it maybe. And then like this weird thing happened. I was like, all right, well, I guess we're getting to it now. Like, whatever. Or like,
Serendipitous.
yeah, very serendipitous. So it was great. So we go to said meet and greet. And Lori Gilmore's a lovely human.
Yes. She's
She was
very
great.
sweet. She was answering all the questions.
Yeah. And people were throwing some, I wouldn't say hard hitters, but like really sex involved questions. And she handled it admirably. So appreciated. Just because like
As her mom is there.
Yeah, and I think of like someone asking me these questions and I'm like, I would die on the spot. So
Literally.
I find it impressive.
There was a mom and a daughter like in line in front of us to get their
Yeah.
book signed, and the mom was
Yeah.
like to Lori, she was like, well, I didn't know like this is what my daughter's reading. She had to be like probably like 16, 17.
Yeah, I
I
think
was
the
like,
mom said she was 16 and I was dying. It was like amazing.
ooh.
Oh boy. Yeah, which is so funny. And I also feel like it's nice because one of the questions that she was answering, she explained how she started writing. Oh, I think you literally asked that question, Hallie.
Yeah, I did.
As I'm like, some question
Yeah,
what
right.
you asked.
As I like don't want to see people or talk to people, and I ask her.
Yeah. So Hallie has this thing that she always does, like not just podcast related, but anything related. Like I beg her to come to things and she's like, I don't really want to. I'm feeling antisocial. And I'm like, okay, but I don't care if you want to, like you're coming kind of thing. And then we get there, and Hallie's like the most enthusiastic participant every time. I'm like, you didn't even want to come. So it's always really funny. Because like in the moment, she's pumped as fuck to be there.
I really, I buck up.
You do. You buck up. I think like you just don't like knowing you have plans. Once you get there, like you thrive.
Yeah, it's like the anticipation of like knowing I have something to do
Mm-hmm.
that like I don't like. But like if I'm there and it's like, okay, well, why am I gonna be miserable? So might as well have fun.
Yeah, and I was like, you always have fun.
Yeah.
Look at you. And so anyways, the question Hallie asked was, how did you start writing in general, whatever. And it was really interesting because she was saying like she had kids, and then it was kind of like, well, I read a lot, so like I'll just write to kind of like get my like mind working again after like having kids. And I think that's like really nice because I love when like a reader turns writer.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like I just feel
She's one of us.
the vibes are good. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're just doing it for fucking funsies, and you're like writing something that you're like, yeah, I'd enjoy this.
Yeah, and then
I
it
feel
like
like it
blew up on Tik.
shows.
Yeah, and she was saying how like it blew up on TikTok, and she was like, I don't even own TikTok, and I have no
Amazing.
idea what's going on.
Which like respect that because I also have no idea what's going on TikTok.
And she's humble. Wow, so nice.
Wow. So we got the books, got them signed. All right, so off we came home to read the book. So we had high hopes, obviously. Number one, because it was like a Gilmore Girls inspired kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot about it as well, based off the Q&A. Like, it's not like necessarily there's not like a big moral message, but it's like healthy relationships, just like almost like an escapist reality, like just to enjoy and like, again, it's called Dream Harbor, so it's like you obviously are expecting, good vibes. Um, so yeah, so we started reading, and this first book, there's this girl, Jeannie, and she moves to Dream Harbor because her Aunt Dot is getting rid of the cafe. She's retiring. So she's like, Jeannie, come run the cafe. I don't want to sell it.
You are the chosen one.
Yeah, Jeannie, it's you, baby. So Jeannie had just like watched her boss die.
Yeah,
Hello.
she's like at a crossroads in life.
Yeah, and like some like, businessy kind of job, and she's like, that sucks. I don't
Yeah.
want to die.
Yeah, she didn't want to like end up dying like her boss did.
Which, valid, Jeannie.
Yeah,
I
because she
feel
was
that.
like in the corporate world, and like.
Yeah. So,
Sorry, I'm getting
Jeannie,
distracted. I found a cat whisker in my chair.
I literally was like gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing? But
Yeah.
okay. So whatever.
Sorry.
So Jeannie moves to Dream Harbor, and like within like what, chapter 2, someone's knocking at her door, and she's like ready to beat the shit out of him with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
But alas, it is just a sexy farmer man.
Yeah.
So
Logan.
Logan and Jeannie forever. Honestly, first of all, I also love that these towns, everyone's hot.
I know.
Every single one of them, they're all hot.
I know how you feel about this.
Great. So anyways, sexy farmer man is there, and he's
Jeannie,
like, I'm
Jeannie. Jamie.
me, I am Jeannie.
Jamie loves when the main characters are hot.
Okay, but like again, like
Anyways,
what is it doing for me when they're ugly? Nothing. It does nothing for me.
Yikes.
I need a pretty person.
Logan is totally giving Luke from Gilmore Girls for sure.
Okay. Does he also give you Brendan from It Happened One Summer?
Never saw that.
Okay, what? We read it. We read it together. It's not a movie.
Oh. Oh, that was the
Piper.
Yeah, that was our main book.
That was our main book. I thought you were saying like main character, and I was like, I don't know why I call it our main book, but you mean like our Maine, like the city, like, state of Maine.
Yeah, I was about to say the country we went to.
Wow, are we okay today?
Yeah, when we had gone to Maine, we were reading that book. Brendan. Oh yeah, the fisherman guy. Yeah, he was also giving me those vibes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, in the beginning, because he's a little like standoffish and like
he's a grumpy sunshine. Well,
yeah.
He's a grumpy, she's a sunshine.
He's like, grr.
Yeah, so he was giving me Brendan from It Happened. Ooh, sorry. Mm-hmm. It Happened One Summer.
And Jeannie, to me, we were talking a little bit about this, but I think she, like, what I imagined her as was from Teen Wolf, Scott's mom, but like a younger version.
That's like very specific though.
I know, and that's just how I imagined her.
Hmm. Undecided if I agree with that.
Hmm.
Um,
I think I'm right. So I think that's better than
I
Anna Kendrick, who you
okay,
think
no,
she seems
I
like.
had like Googled like fan cast. So Lori, if you're listening, fan cast cast Anna Kendrick just to make Callie angry.
Great.
No, but I like Anna Kendrick's um like bubbly vibe. So Jeannie's described with like darker hair and such, but I vibe with Anna Kendrick and Liam Hemsworth as Logan. That's a solid.
Hmm.
Liam Hemsworth with a beard is for sure Logan.
Yeah, you
Like,
think?
yes. I'm actually going to pull up the photo I sent you just to show the camera because now we have video and everyone can see it.
Oh god.
Whoop whoop. Oh my god, like, are you kidding me? This is 100% Logan.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see
What?
it.
First of
Yeah.
all, that's a stupidly ridiculous photo. Holy fuck. I mean, Liam Hemsworth's been like my celebrity crush for forever. So,
Really?
yeah, yeah.
He's like good looking, but I was never like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I digress. So anyway, on top of us, just I don't even know what we're doing. So yeah, Logan and Jeannie meet. She's wearing hedgehog pajama pants. He's super turned on by that. I mean, yeah, let's be cozy. Um, and so they already. I mean, obviously, again, it's not like this book is one of those ones where you're like, oh, are they gonna be together? Like from the get, you're like, all right, this is our main two.
Yeah.
You know, like which
It's it's your
I almost appreciate
typical
cut the
like
bullshit.
yeah, it's like you're almost like your typical like
Like rom com.
rom-com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Which was
now,
nice because we definitely needed that after Hunting Adeline.
whoa, yeah. So if you guys haven't listened to Hunting Adeline, I mean, if you're listening to
Like
this,
these are two
perhaps,
ends of the spectrum.
yeah. But you know what? I say I lean more toward this end. Yeah, dark romance. Maybe there's other books again, but I don't know how I feel about dark romance, guys. I think I'm a little scared. So give me Dream Harbor any day. Yeah, so they meet. He's like giving her produce, whatever. And so, long story short,
He's
I don't
like,
know if
these are
she.
your cabbages that were requested that I deliver every
I think
Thursday.
they were gourds, but yeah.
Obviously, what would a cafe do with cabbages?
Right. Yeah, I literally was like, I hate that you mentioned cabbages
I
for.
just thought that would be so funny.
Anyway,
It's so ridiculous.
so I don't know if she mentions it here or not, but she's like, something's keeping me up at night, yada yada. So he's like, oh, go to the town meeting. Because
Hmm.
again, they have like a very Gilmore Girl esque like town meeting, which I was like, amazing. Like already
Yeah,
at that point, I was like, I'm sold, you know,
love the
like give
town
me a town
meetings.
hall. Yeah.
Hmm.
So he's like, oh, go tell the mayor about it. You know, maybe we can help you. So already Logan's like not super involved in town. So when he walks into the town meeting, now he's talking to the new girl. Everyone's like, "Oh my goodness!" Like
Yeah.
not like scandal, but they're just like,
Well,
"Yes,
well, you learn why the reason that
yeah,
he's not
yeah,
like in town.
yeah." Well, we'll chat about it.
Um,
Aw, poor Logan. And
Yikes.
so the town hall meeting is very, again, like if you struggle at all to imagine this, like the chaotic vibes of the town hall meetings in Gilmore Girls, like, yep,
Hmm.
yes. Everyone's a fucking shit show. Like, but in a good way.
All these quirky little personalities.
Yeah, you're already meeting other main characters. So Logan has two best girlfriends, Annie and Hazel. Hazel runs the bookstore, Annie runs the bakery. Amazing. Like, you have like a whole main little street, and everyone's just a young business owner who's sexy. I mean, can it get any better? I'm like, I'm moving to Dream
It's
Harbor.
it's literally like Hallmark.
It is, but like I often argue as well, Hallmark, slight digression. I don't love like Hallmark.
I hate Hallmark.
Yeah, like my mom's super into Hallmark, but I also argue when like it's written and also when there's like spicy scenes which we'll discuss, like it like takes away from that. Like it could still be like very quirky and cutesy and like Hallmark-esque, but
Hmm.
like without like the cringy aspects of Hallmark. I argue Hallmark is Hallmark because of the weird ass acting and there's like no sex scenes. So
Bro,
it's like,
literally everyone who is like old and washed up, like from back in the day, ends up on Hallmark.
right. So I think that's why Hallmark is like doesn't hit for me. But that's why like books that are Hallmark-esque I enjoy because again it's like my imagination. There's no cringy actors in my mind because
Mm-hmm.
they don't have room in there.
Yeah.
And then again in books there's usually sex scenes in these books, so like it kind of adds like a little like not like everything's fluffy like
Add a little
Hallmark.
spice.
Yeah, yeah. So Jeannie tells the whole town, like, there is something trying to break into my cafe. And they're like, no. And somehow, like, the mayor volunteers Logan to, like, sleep over her place and have a stakeout. And I'm like, mayor, that was a little bold.
Love that.
But
Forced proximity? Yes.
I'm also huge. Like, I'm loving that she's like, I pick a trope and I'm going for it. Like, hey, listen up. I'm down. And I'm
I
also
mean,
I also do like a grumpy sunshine as a whole.
I was also happy there was no talk of children in this book, thank God.
Yeah, solid point. Ooh, look at this. Amazing. That's rare with these books. So,
Mm-hmm.
yay. So
Literally.
whatever.
And I
So
also appreciate how there was no fucking stupid shit about my recharging station or my loading dock, whatever the fuck we were reading in those other books.
that was actually crazy that there's multiple books with that, number one. And number two, all I kept thinking for this book, I was like, I know Hallie's like this is like substantially like by leaps and bounds better than Colleen Hoover.
Oh yeah, for sure. First of all,
Like
the
I
writing
like
is 1,000 times better.
it's interesting, isn't it? Like, because again, I didn't realize that until I reread Colleen
It
Hoover
is
how bad the
interesting.
writing was. Yeah, like what's
Yeah,
going on with that? Hmm, bizarre.
that
Because
was like,
I agree reading this as well, and like Abby Jimenez and like other like rom commy
see,
type
Colleen
books.
Hoover, she reads like middle
What's
grade,
what's
but
Colleen
like
Hoover doing?
with adult topics. It's very strange.
Good point. Okay, well, anyways, so thank God. So if you guys like Colleen Hoover, you'll like this even more. So go for it. Um, so yeah, so then Logan, like they go to the stakeout.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they're already like nervous to like
Yeah.
hang out, which again, so I want to hear your thoughts on that because I don't mind like when they're automatically attracted like right away
Mm-hmm.
and like it's like a quick like oh I keep thinking about them. I feel like those quick moving romantic feelings I don't mind because again if it's like a hot person in town like I could totally see myself doing that as well. But I know sometimes you get hung up with like if things move too quickly. So like how did you feel just in general? Because
I
I know like
think
that's a thing for you.
I think it was fine because there wasn't really anything like very substantial in this book. Like, and
As
she
far
was very clear with that, like off the get, you know. Like this,
yeah,
like she even said, like you want to read this just to escape and just have like a nice little story.
right.
And
So
so,
like
like
yeah,
going into it, I wasn't like expecting anything. And I like how the problems weren't that deep.
yeah, and we'll talk about that too because I feel like sometimes these rom coms they go the other end and it's just like all
Yeah,
right, like enough.
they try to like teach a lesson or like whatever, like be all deep,
I'm
but
like,
like
listen, I'm
in the
not here
span
to get
of
taught a lesson.
yeah, like in the span of 300 pages, you don't have that ability to do that.
Well, and like you've mentioned many times on past episodes, like when you try to teach a lesson in 300 pages, it comes off phony because like
Yeah.
it seems forced. Like I'd rather
Yes.
just read a fun story in 300 pages
Exactly. And that's
and
why I
feel
appreciate
happy.
yeah, and that's why I appreciated this book.
Right. And so yeah, so Logan comes for their little stakeout, which I enjoyed their stakeout. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, when they
Um
start cuddling, I was like, "Yes."
yeah, I was like, let's fucking get it going. So Jeannie's all fucking nervous. She like has tons of snacks out, and I was like, honestly, I feel that girl. Like I eat my feelings too. And then there's like cute, quirky moments. You know, she like bought Twizzlers, and she's like, Twizzlers fucking suck, but I guarantee this weirdo likes Twizzlers, and
Yeah.
he does.
Oh,
Which
that was so upsetting. I hate Twizzlers.
really,
I'm not a Twizzler person.
I'm not now, but when I was like a preteen, I used to bite each end off of a Twizzler and drink Dr. Pepper with them like a straw. Dare I say sociopathic behavior? Unsure.
You were just very special.
I still am so special.
Yes, yes.
Um,
I hate Twizzlers. I don't like licorice. Like that's not in my
well, a
palate.
Twizzler is not a licorice, so
But
let's just
like,
get that straight.
but like it is.
I don't agree with that. I don't
I
agree with that.
guarantee you, if you ask anyone, like, would you consider Twizzlers a licorice? They'd say yes. It's
Mm,
strawberry flavored licorice.
But it's not fucking licorice, Hallie.
But it is.
Hmm, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So, well, Logan likes fucking Twizzlers. So, whatever. So they're snuggling.
Red flag.
Oh, whatever. They're snuggling. And
I
then they
like how it's like
hear.
universal. Like everyone, like if you eat Twizzlers, like you're a weirdo,
Yeah, that
or
was just written in there because it
that's
was
like a
like.
defining characteristic.
I'm gonna turn my fan off because I'm freezing, but we can keep talking. I'll bring you with me on the journey. So yeah, I mean, okay, fine. Logan's a weirdo because he likes Twizzlers. I don't know what to tell you about that. So as I'm talking, moving my
Anyways,
table.
I like
So
I liked how, she's like, "Oh my god, it's a ghost. It has to be a ghost. This place is haunted. It's old and, they don't like me because I'm not my Aunt Dot and da 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 da." And Logan's like a realist and he was like, No, it's probably a raccoon." And he just like brushes it off, but like he likes her, obviously. So he's like kind of like feeding into it.
you
And
need a
then
man like Logan, honestly, because you're such a realist down to like your fucking core, you know?
I know. Um Yeah, and turns out the ghost is actually a cat.
Which I was like, yes, we're so
Yeah.
excited.
And I also kind of had a feeling like that was the way it was going to go.
Well, the cat's on the
Um
front cover of the book. Did you notice that?
no, I didn't.
Go look at your book because you have it. Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
Um oh yes, there it is.
There's the cat.
Oh,
Oh, my dogs are barking.
Casper. Um yeah, so I loved that. And I just like how like she immediately is like, well, I guess I have to take it to the vet and I have to get it food and it's now mine. Like I like how she just assumes ownership.
Right, like she wasn't like, oh, go bring it to the vet. Like, and like get rid of it. Like,
Yeah.
I will keep this cat.
And he like writes down like his name and number if she needs any help. And I was like, yes, yes,
Yeah.
love this.
And what did she? Oh, she named it Casper.
Yeah, the friendly ghost.
Which I feel like, so now we're kind of getting to the point where after the stakeout, like they're kind of establishing the fact, like, okay, we kind of have the hots for each other, whatever. And so now the issue is we get to like our issues, which, again, there are issues and like conflict, but it's like light conflict.
Yeah, it's lighthearted.
Which I enjoy. So we find out Logan's backstory, which I think you probably found funny. So do you want to tell everyone what it was?
Yeah, so Logan was just living his life in Dream Harbor, and this bachelorette group comes to the bar, and he starts talking to this girl, and then all of a sudden they have like this very long fling, and he's like trying to get her to move to Dream Harbor, and she's kind of like not about it, and so he proposes to her like at the Christmas tree farm,
Or
and
the lighting? They have like a ceremony.
yeah, like in front of everybody in the town,
Yeah.
and she like says no and runs away.
Can you fucking
And
imagine?
I
First of
was
all,
like, that's
mm,
so embarrassing. I would never show my face in public ever again. I'd
which is
probably
why
move.
Logan barely does.
So he has some trust issues, and really
Yeah.
I would say like abandonment issues because she just like up and left.
Well, and we find out too, I don't know when, but we find out that Logan's dad left and his mom died when he was young. So his grandparents raised him. So definitely like abandonment issues for sure.
Yeah.
I also argue, what was this bitch's name? Lucy. Lucy, such a bitchy name. Um, sorry if we got Lucy's.
Oh my god.
No one we know. I don't know any Lucy's. No, I don't. Okay, good. So, anyways, so whatever. So, um, I also just feel like my hot take on public proposals.
No, don't do them.
No, agreed, guys. Just don't do them. But I'm gonna give you a PSA. If you are a woman being proposed to in public and you don't want to say yes, honestly, maybe if you have any like care for that person in your fucking heart and soul, just like do a little nod and then in private be like, I didn't want to say yes, but like I just did it to not like embarrass you for the rest of your life.
Public displays of affection and like these public grand gestures of love make me very uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable.
So the fact
Like
that he did that was crazy.
yeah, poor guy.
And so anyway, so Anne is her name? Annie?
Who? Annie. I was like, who?
The friend.
Yeah.
Annie and Hazel, like,
Mm-hmm.
tell Jeannie. They're like, if you're gonna, mess around with Logan, like, make sure, like, everything's, like, really clear because, like, Logan falls hard and he falls fast. And Jeannie's
Which I'm
like,
like, wow, I can't see that from Logan right away, but I'm like, I get it. He's like the like secretive intense type.
yeah. And Jeannie's like, oh, like, nothing's going on. I don't know what you're talking about. So, like,
Right.
throughout the book, like, she's dealing with, like, I just moved to town. Like, I don't want to, end up hurting him if, say it doesn't work out. And
And
then
it's like a
Logan,
public, like it's like a public fucking spectacle. Like,
yeah, because everybody's in on it,
right, and
and
like they all kind of like raised Logan like he's like the town orphan, like for lack of a better
Jesus.
like way of describing it. And so she's like, that's her stance, and then his stance is like, he's like,
She's
is
gonna
she even,
leave.
yeah, is she even staying? Like, I don't know, like she just moved here. Maybe this is like just part of her self discovery, and she's gonna be out in like 6 months, you know? So they're both kind of like hesitant for different ways. Whoa.
That
But
was my cat. He
but you
just
could
got up from his nap.
how
Aw.
cute. That's adorable. Wow, he gets up excited.
He's like,
Anyway,
oh my god, I
so
love it. Oh my god, he does it
oh,
again.
I love him. Anyway, so yeah, so they're both like not trying to do this, but like for different reasons. And I'm like, oh, here begins the miscommunication.
Yeah, but I'm glad it wasn't like
No, yeah.
tortuous, tortuous, tortuous,
Torturous?
torturous.
Torturous.
What did I say? Tortuous.
I think you're saying like tortoise, like a tortoise.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I
Anyway,
couldn't think of
but
the word.
no, I agree. So like as we mentioned, we'll go more into the conflict and stuff, but like they have a miscommunication or like a thing, and they like have that for a page, and then it's like, oh, like they talk about it like fucking human beings, and then they move on from it. And like I feel like some of these fucking rom-com books, they have like the smallest miscommunication, and then for like 100 pages they don't talk, and I'm like, I didn't read this to be annoyed.
Well, they didn't talk for like a week, and I appreciated how she was like, "Oh, it's
We
been a
didn't
week
talk
since we
for a week.
talked."
Yes, thank you God, because
Yeah.
I can't read 100 pages of you being like, what are they up to, what is he up to, and I'm like, motherfucker, like you guys literally just like misinterpreted each other, like.
Exactly.
And then it also makes me feel like their life after the book is going to go to shit because clearly you guys can't talk. You know, like
Yeah.
miscommunications happen, I get it, but like when you let that like be 6 months of your life, like now you start dating, I'm like, I don't think you guys are going to bode well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Wait,
so
so I also want to get your opinion. So,
mm.
throughout the book, they find out who the ghost is, but like Jeannie is still being harassed and like she doesn't
Oh,
know
yes,
like
yes, yes,
what's
yes.
going on. Yeah. Because the problems are now happening like inside the cafe. So she was like, it has to be
Yes.
somebody who has access to the cafe.
I kind of forgot we had like a little baby mystery in this book, which I also was like, okay,
Yeah. So
little snaz.
did you have like any suspicions like off the bat?
Okay, like spoiler,
Because
'cause I'm
I
gonna say
did.
who it is. Yeah, I knew it was that motherfucker Norman
Yeah.
from the fucking get. I was
Yeah.
like,
Same.
so for reference, if you're like, who's Norman? She has like 3 workers: the old manager, this older guy Norman, and like 2 like college kids, whatever. But Norman's always a dick to her and like won't tell her that there's like a fall harvest tent she has to set up, and like just like won't tell her things. And
He
it was
wants
like,
her to fail.
yes. And it was like her aunt Dot's oldest employee, whatever. But he's always been being a dick. So as soon as like sabotagey stuff starts happening, I was like, it's fucking Norman.
Yes.
And I was like, he's a lame ass loser. I don't know what his deal is. I also kind of suspected what his deal was because people were like referencing like, oh, I think Norman and your aunt had like a thing. I'm like, oh, he's like a scorned lover,
Yeah.
you know?
Um
So I was on to that. But I
Yeah.
did appreciate like a little side plot to keep us
Yeah.
busy.
I did think it was corny though at the end how like her aunt Dot comes back and like Norman is supposed to meet them and she's gonna like shake him down for like harassing Jeannie.
I would not fuck with Aunt Dot, just side note.
I know. And then she's just like, I thought you would come with me to the
Which
islands. And you're like, oh.
I almost like low key was like, as a reader, how much. Okay, how do I word this? as a reader who we were saying like we hate miscommunication and like when it lasts like a whole book,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, thank God we didn't get Norman and fucking Dot's story because that would have been a
Yeah.
whole book of her like, I'm in the islands missing Norman. Why didn't he come? Bitch, you didn't tell him to come with you, Aunt Dot.
Yeah.
I was like, girl, you're like how I'm be generous, probably like 50. You know, if she's retiring at 50, honestly, pop off girlfriend. She's probably 50 at the minimum. And you couldn't say, hey, I want you to come with me. Why would this random man, Norman, who works for you, be like, you know what? I'm going to also retire and go away with Dot.
Well, he wanted to buy the cafe from her, and Dot was like, "No, it's going to my niece or
Right. And so
granddaughter, whoever it
you think
is."
after that it's her niece. You think after that he's gonna be like, oh, I'm actually gonna retire and come on vacation with you. Oh, those two is crazy lovebirds. Anyway, so
Yeah.
that was a fun. I did appreciate that plot. I think again it was like lighthearted enough where I didn't mind having like multiple plots. Because you need like a little something to kind of add to like the love story. Like you can't just be like a love story, you
Well,
know?
yeah. I
I
mean,
just
and there wasn't like really like much going on with Jeannie and Logan.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You know.
They're doing whatever. They're going to like their little fall harvest,
Yeah.
XYZ.
And
There's like a
then
trivia night
yeah,
and
and
they're starting.
they like tell each other, you know, like oh, like that they like each other, and then they're gonna like keep it a secret and like hook up in quiet.
Yeah.
Which I was like,
Yes.
okay, love that. We love a little sneaky time. But then
I do
she's
like
like,
a little sneaky time.
yeah, and she like goes over to his house. She has to tell him something or something, and they end up going to like his part of the house, and they're like getting hot and heavy, and then all of a sudden like his grandpa knocks on the door, and he like kind of like throws her off of him.
Not grandpa.
And so like she catches she catches some feelings because she was like, you know,
Yeah.
maybe I don't want to be like a
A
secret,
secret, right.
which is understandable. And like I think it's also funny like her
Mm.
relationship with her brother.
Oh, I do like him. Bennett. I almost called him Emmett. That's not his name. His name's Bennett.
Yeah.
um,
I think he's like he brings some like comic relief into it. Even though like Jeannie's like not very serious as a character.
no, she's not at all.
But I think he brings like a different side
Well, right, because it's
to
like her
like
sibling.
her as a
Yeah.
person, yeah.
Well, and they're both, like you said, I would argue they're both not serious, but I do like seeing her communications with him and stuff. And like, yeah, her being an older sister.
Yeah. Like she texted him, she was like, "You up?" And he was like, "Please don't ever text me that again at 3 in the
Yeah,
morning."
but I also thought they're very like realistic siblings. I don't have siblings, so you can tell me if I'm wrong. But like they remind me of like Ryan and Amelia, kind of. Like they would be like they're close like that. Like Amelia calls Ryan on the phone just to like chit chat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I kind of liked their vibe. Yeah, and I think Jeannie at first, right, like she even says in the book, like I'm down being a secret, not a secret, but like I'm down just having this for us because like
Yeah.
I don't want the whole town like pressuring me if it doesn't work out or whatever. Like
Yeah.
they're all very
Yeah.
protective of him. But then when it becomes obvious that like he wants her to be a secret, she's like, why are you being like that? Like, what are you fucking ashamed of me? Like, which I also get that. Like, it's fine to say, oh, let's do it in private. But then if someone like finds out, be like, oh, all right, you know, we're trying to just kind of keep it under wraps or like not make a big thing of this. But then to throw her off of you, especially for your grandpa, it's like, that hurts. That hurts.
Yeah. Even though like his grandma like knows what's going on.
Well, right. And I argue, like, I mean, a bunch of the town fucking knows what's going on, right? I mean, Jesus. Like, they're
Well,
all kind
yeah.
of like, hello, guys, you're
Yeah.
hanging out, whatever. But
Exactly.
there's,
So then, well, I mean, like he makes up for it. Like they didn't like talk after that. Like that's like their week that they didn't talk or something. And then, Logan's grandma was like, you know, like you should go pick up Jeannie for the fall festival for setup. And he was like, okay, like I guess I'll swing by. And it's
I'll
like
just swing on by Jeannie's.
yeah, and it like torrentially downpours, and they're like running through the rain trying to catch her 10, and then they're like in the truck and they're, you know, making out in front of the cafe in
And
front of
they did,
everybody.
well, no one saw them in the truck, but people saw them like they held hands.
He was like staking his claim.
Yeah, and I think actually, was it the fall festival or the Halloween extravaganza? There was two different things. Maybe the Halloween one where they like finally held hands. But either way, it was a fall fun type of thing, which I also love. First of all, I'm a fall girly. So like having a fall festival and like a Halloween judging contest and like just fun things like that, I was like, yes. yeah. So I was all into like town activities because I think they're just fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, so he kind of like was like, oh, I'll like, let everyone know whatever. And I also would, I want to say this in general, they kind of like merged together in my head, but I want to point it out as a whole for the book. I enjoyed these sex scenes. I like more than like a closed door, like, and the door closed and like
Mm-hmm.
dot dot dot, because I'm like, all right, motherfuckers, like, let's, let me know what's going on.
I feel like there's a time and place for that.
Agreed. Like, I don't want
If
like
it's like a long, like drawn
yeah,
out
yeah, or like
kind of
every
thing.
time, like, yeah, maybe sometimes we speed it up. um but I want more than that in a book because, like, again, I'm a grown woman, like, thank you. But I also liked these. I think they were like enough to give me the spice,
Mm-hmm.
but like I wasn't like, oh my god.
Yeah, they weren't
Like,
like super corny either. They were like just like
no, no, they weren't corny and they weren't like,
extravagant, crazy, like Nesta and Cassian. You know
well,
what I mean?
yes, my point was I was literally going to point out SJM. Some of her scenes, like, I would argue, like, Reese and Feyre, fine, great, like, I'm down with those smut scenes. Cassie and Nessa sometimes, like, once you start calling it like velvet wrap steel, I'm out. I'm out.
That was in Throne of Glass.
I'm also out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't need that. And I
I think
appreciate.
that's like such like a good like personification. I mean, it makes me cringe, but it's so like it's
I
so
yeah,
it hits it on the head.
yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. My thing is, like, I want a sex scene where you're giving me a little bit of explicit. Like, I don't care. You could fondle his balls a little bit. I'm okay with it. But like, I don't want the word fucking moist, slick,
Slit.
nothing. I want none of that fucking near me. Like, that's fine. You can also like
Ugh,
be
I hate when they're
vague.
like my heat too.
Yeah, like you can be vague about an
So
orgasm
weird.
and like a penis and a vagina without being like, so again, point of of this tangent is I feel like Lori Gilmore did a good job. Like, you gave me, I knew exactly what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't use trigger words for me personally, and it wasn't like, okay, I don't need to know every, like, because
Nook and
even the
cranny.
one, yeah, like, even one of the sex scenes, like, at his like little apartment type thing, like, she's like, they had like sex up against the wall, and like you knew they were doing that, you know what I'm saying, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like, oh my god, like, you still have like little kinky fun,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't have to be like, okay, I'm having enough of this. So I appreciate that. And also at
Let's just
that
get to
point,
the end.
yeah, so then they have sex finally.
Mm-hmm.
And then he like sleeps over. It's so cutesy, whatever. She gets up to shower, and then he finds papers on her desk because she's not really unpacked yet. Um, and it's like realtor papers because they're trying to tell her you can make mad money for selling this. And she was like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, but just was like, oh, this is a lot of money, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like really wasn't gonna sell,
No, and Logan gets in his feels.
which I get. And then they're both kind of bad here, and he's like,
But like
whatever.
also like he could have just asked like,
Yeah.
"Hey, sorry, I was kind of snooping. I noticed that you haven't unpacked anything and you have realtor papers on your desk. Like, are you planning on saying?" Like, I don't understand what's so hard about that. Like,
Yeah,
let's just
people
clarify things here.
people get emotional, man. And then he's like, she's gonna leave, and then he's like, I'm betrayed. So he like storms out, but honestly, she did not give a fuck. Well, she did, but like she was like slamming doors and like throwing his
Yeah.
shirt at him. I was like, good for you. Like, don't be that girl who's going after him crying. Like, you slam that door and say you're
Mm-hmm.
being an asshole.
Yeah.
I was like, solid.
Yeah. So then
So
like
then,
Logan disappears.
yeah, like on
And
his
everyone,
farm.
yeah, and everyone in the town was like, "Oh my god, like they left together from the festival and now we haven't seen
He's
him in a
gone.
week. Like
Yeah.
what happened?"
Mm-hmm.
Um which I thought was really funny. And
Didn't there was like a rumor that he was like in Peru, whatever.
yeah.
Um,
I thought it was funny though how
yeah.
what kind of propels Jeannie to like go along like and like pursue things with Logan is because the people from the book club are at
Mm-hmm.
the cafe and the one guy gives her like like a book about like a sexy farmer.
Oh, what was it called? The Milkmaid and something?
Yeah.
The Milkmaid and the Farmer? I think that's what it was.
Probably.
Amazing. The book club is a bunch of shit stirrers. I love them.
Yeah.
I feel like you need like a little catty book club in every community.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. I like it.
This is ours. No.
Right. This is our community. Yeah, and so yeah, but this is the part where Hallie referenced before where it was like, oh, we haven't talked in a week. And I was like, good. It's fine. Like again, this fight probably realistically would last a week. Like you probably both are pissed off.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't need to read 100 pages about you not talking.
Well, I also okay. So then now this is the thing. I didn't really like this part because talk about
Tell me.
public displays of affection. Like
Oh.
she's at work and like everything's going to shit and like
Norman. We find out it's Norman first of all, and he quits. That was sabotaging.
Yeah, Norman's like, sorry I broke the window and was harassing you, but fuck you. I wanted this cafe.
Yeah, and I was like,
and he was like, and now
Norman.
I'm quitting. And she's like, what the hell? Anyways,
Same. What?
So she's like taking her break or whatever, and like Logan comes in. He's like, Jeannie, and she was like, what the what? And he was like, you better come out here, or I'm just gonna say what I have to say in front of all these people. And immediately, I'm like, oh, like I'm getting secondhand embarrassment. I'm like, please get me through this scene like really quick.
Well, I'm also like, please go get him. Like, don't do this. Which she does do. Thank God. Thank God.
And then they talk out their differences, and then they're all better. And I think they like smooch out in front of everybody. And
yeah, he carries her out, and they go have sex for like 3 days. Amazing.
Yeah.
And even that, like, right? So the sex scenes at that point, like, we get a few descriptions of a few of them, and then it's like, oh, we've been having sex for 3 days. And I'm like, good, thank you. I didn't need to know every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a vibe. We're in love.
5 hours later.
Right. And I appreciate that. Like, right? Like, give me enough where I'm happy. Give me a vibe where I know that they're just having sex constantly and that they're just smitten and in love, and it makes me happy. But I don't need, like, you know? And then it's like, there's also comedic relief, right? Like, at one point, like, Grandma knocks on the door and she's like, do you want dinner? And he's like, I ate. She's like, I know Jeannie's in there with you. I'm sure you worked up an appetite. Like, amazing.
Your grandma voice is really funny.
Oh, thank you. Was it good? Was it Nana?
Yeah, you can work on them a little bit.
All right, fuck. I tried my best. I'm not a grandma, so I suppose that's why it's not great. So yeah, like I just felt like all of that was good, spot on. And then like, you know, this is when Dot comes back, her and Norman like hash it out, whatever. And then do we end any particular way? Oh, they like go to her apartment, like the whole town. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Maybe. Okay. So I was like forgetting this, but I remember this is like the ending scene, kind of like leeway to the next book. So they're all a bunch of people in the town go to Jeannie's apartment, like unpack for her, and they're like, "We're gonna make it your home," and she's like, "Yay!" Whatever. And like this is when like, you know, her and like Hazel are like hanging a picture, and it's like, oh, like Noah keeps like looking at Hazel, like, you know, you're kind of like getting set up.
Oh yeah, and then they leave together or something, right?
I don't remember if they do or not. I also am like in the midst of reading Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, so it's like what bled over. Like I don't know what was what book. I don't think they leave together there. I think it's just like very obvious. Like you're like, oh, you guys got the hots for each other, and they're both like, no, silly.
Yeah.
Which again, let me just go back and say again, the fact that they're all hot and all single. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Like that's just like a town full of like hot eligible bachelor and bachelorettes. Which, yes. And I like, as a whole for the series, just a comment, I think on the whole series, because again, we know we're going forward with like other characters we've met and stuff like that. I think she did a great job of like introducing the side characters that like we care about them. Like I care about Annie and Hazel already.
Like it was just enough.
Yeah, to like give us like insight to them, like who they are, what their personalities are. I also feel she did a great job, the fact that she started the first book with like a character coming in, like moving there. Like we are Jeannie. We're being introduced to everyone. And now it's like, okay, we're going to go kind of through the town of like who's falling in love, whatever. You know, like we were also newcomers to Dream Harbor.
Yes.
So I liked that a lot because now it's like, all right, now we're in it.
That's a valid point.
Which I like that, like, creative liberty that like, okay, we're all doing it together kind of thing.
Yeah.
I also, from a writing standpoint, I love a fucking dual point of view. Always. So this book is Logan and Jeannie, which
Yeah.
I'm just like, why not?
Yeah, I love a multiple POV.
Always,
'Cause you
always.
get
Especially
like,
with like,
you get like more of a rounder picture, essentially.
yeah, so I just think like those two writing choices, I was like, yes. Um, and then I'm
Yeah.
also enjoying like how much we saw like Annie and Hazel and like the friends in this book. Like Noah goes and talks to Logan about like Jeannie, like you're seeing the characters. So I'm also hoping that like we get like Jeannie and Logan scenes in other books, like just enough where I'm like satisfied.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't.
Yeah, like they're all just a big friend group, which I like. Like I'm like, oh cool, we'll still see you. Like I'm not like you're not gone forever.
Yeah.
But it's like enough where I don't need like that much about you, but I like to be updated. I like to know what's going on in your life,
Yeah.
friends. Like we are also friends of Dream
Yeah.
Harbor.
I mean, I felt like it was like a solid book.
Yeah, no, I think it did what I wanted it to do. Honestly, I
Yeah.
wanted a seasonal, cozy vibe,
Quick read.
quick, happy, satisfying read, and it gave me all of that. So, that being said, what did you rate it, and how, like, what did you rate it, comma, and why did you rate it that? I don't know why I couldn't say that.
Uh,
Like, what?
I knew it was definitely going to be 3. I was debating giving it 4, but I was just
So,
like,
what's in the middle?
so I was just like, well, if I'm second guessing giving it a 4, I'll give it a 3.5.
That makes sense to me.
Which I
Yeah.
think is pretty good because I feel like all of the romance books that we've read, I've given them like 3 to 4 rating besides Just for the Summer.
Yeah, that one just blew you away. And
That
so,
one just
okay.
hit different.
So, because at this point, if you don't know Hallie, Hallie does not typically like books like this. Not like this, but just in general, like Hallie was not like a romance girl before
No.
I started with her. So, did you like this book more than expected, less, equal to? Like now that you like have some romance under your belt?
I think I didn't have very high hopes going into it. Like I wasn't expecting to love it. I
Right?
just figured it would just be it was either going to be like just like a solid read
Yes.
or I was going to hate it.
Yes. Which
So
I felt that when I thought about you.
yeah, so
You
I
know
was
what I'm saying?
happy. Yeah, so I was happy that I liked it a little bit more than I was expecting. There.
Okay, great. See, yeah, I feel like because again, like if you haven't listened to this yet, like we kind of usually go back and forth of picking books or like make group decisions. When it's a romance book, it is my pick.
All
So
the
that's
time.
just like just for everyone to be very aware of that. Which in the past, like the Colleen Hoovers, I mean Hallie hated them. Like so if you
Yes.
haven't heard those episodes yet, go listen because they're fucking hysterical. Which is just fun for like us to like we literally like yell at each other.
Yeah.
But then I'm always happy when like you enjoy it. But I do think like we said, like this again was giving Gilmore Girls like it's just like there's enough drama where you're engaged, but like ultimately like you're like, yeah, I'm having a good time. Like I would live in this town. I would love to go to the fall festival. You know what I'm saying? Like you just it's just nice. And
Yeah.
sometimes again, I just want a fucking nice book. I mean,
Yeah.
I want a good writing.
They don't need to pull out like all the crazy literary devices.
No. And that's the thing, like when I'm reading a book for fun, I want a book where I am eager to get back to it, just to like know what happens, which I was for this book. I like a book with good writing, which I felt this book was. Again, like after reading Colleen Hoover a second time, I was like, oh, girl, don't like it. So like I need good writing and like again, like not like you said, like literary devices, but like I need like good creative choices. Like, all right, cool. Like I mentioned, Jeannie came to the town. We're meeting everyone with Jeannie.
Yeah.
Cool. That was like a good way to introduce us. You know what I'm saying? Like so as long as like you got your shit together and just give me a good story, like great. So that being said, I gave it 4 stars, which I feel like checks out for the two of us.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And honestly, it was like I finished it and I was like, oh my God, like I need to know what happens. Like who is hooking up next? Which the next one's about Hazel and Noah. But I was like, I can't wait to read it. Like, I'm like, ooh, what's their good vibe gonna be?
So what I was actually thinking of is Noah was actually reminding me of It Happened One Summer.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
Finn?
like Brendan's friend.
Yeah. I think Finn. Is that his name? I
I
think.
don't,
Why
I
does that
don't
sound wrong? Hold on, let me look.
Flynn.
Hold on. Uh,
He was reminding me of him, and I don't know if it's because they're both
yes.
fishermen, but like
Well, yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah.
both like super flirty and like.
Is his
Wait,
name
isn't there a
Finn?
second book coming out with
Well,
him
it's
and
already.
him
Yeah,
and
it's
her
already.
sister?
Yeah, it's already out. We can read it if you want.
Mm.
Um, sequel. Hold on. I need to know what his fucking name is. Hook, line, and it's called Hook, Line, and Sinker. All right. Well, who's it about? Ba, 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 do. Takes place. Okay, I'm aware of that.
Where was that called? Something Harbor.
Oh my god, we were so off. His name is Fox.
Wait, his name is Fox? I don't remember
Yeah,
that.
that's me either. We had the F's right. Fox. Yeah, it is. It's Fox and Hannah. It is because I read it. Weird. Anyways, he is giving me Fox. I think his name is Finn, honestly. Also,
Checks out better.
if his name was Finn and he was a fisherman, that'd be fucking
Yeah.
hysterical. Anyways, Noah is giving me Fox. Because you know what, and also like I feel like you need that. Like you need one of like the pretty boys. You need like a bearded guy. Brendan and Noah are giving me. Or no, sorry, God, I'm
Who's
mixing
Noah?
them up. Hold on, I'm mixing them up. Brendan and Fox from It Happened One Summer series are giving me from this series,
Logan.
and Noah. That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, his name is Noah in this one.
Yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like they're
Yeah.
giving me like the bearded plus like the pretty boy.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think that Noah has like red auburn hair, so he's like a little gingy boy. I don't know if he's like. As soon as I saw the word auburn, I was like, he's a ginger. I don't think he's really a ginger, but my brain went right to it. So,
Interesting. I don't
but
remember that detail.
Noah. Oh well, it could be because I'm reading the book, so it's like I'm like saying things that like maybe you haven't read yet.
Oh.
Also, Noah has like a full sleeve. I'm into it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't wait to talk next episode. So obviously, the next episode is going to be on the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
If you could say that 5 times fast, I'll give you $1.
Cinnamon bun bookstore, cinnamon bun bookstore, cinnamon bun bookstore, cinnamon bun bookstore.
Yep, didn't work. So you're poor. Anyways. So that's about Hazel and
Oh my
Noah.
god.
Obviously, we're covering that next week.
That's
I'm
good.
excited because then we can like talk about which couple we liked better,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm intrigued. Because usually I'm sure we're going to be different. We're always different.
Yeah.
And then the third book, I'm not going to say it here. I tried really hard not to look at the description because I didn't want to know who it was about, but I had a strong suspicion, and I will say I was correct about who it was about. So
I didn't think that far ahead, but I did look up the next 2 books that are to be released next year.
Guys, that's impressive for Hallie.
I know.
Like, that's really good.
Thank you.
I did think that far ahead because I'm already matching everyone in my head. Like, I'm like, who's that? Who's that? Like, I'm like, all right, we're good. And then now that there's
the family trees.
Yeah, like I'm like, can I be in it? Also, now that there's like a map in the second book, I'm like, all right, what facilities have we not met the owners of, and who can hook up? I'm like, perhaps the pet store and the grocery store. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm coupling them up. Thank you. Whatever. So, yeah. So I think this is like nice. I think I genuinely needed like a 3-book series to recover from my trauma from hunting Adeline.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all in on this. I'm really enjoying myself.
I'm so
I
happy.
like books that we just enjoy and can just chat about, and
that don't piss us off.
it's as simple as that. Like we can just chat. I don't like being angry, and a lot of you fucking authors make me real angry. So, like in this book, again, if you've never listened to other episodes, we like literally have a list of like things that authors could have done better, and like I'm like, well, I would have done this instead. I was like, I'm good actually, and
Jamie
it's
always
refreshing.
rewrites the story. She is notorious for being like, if I was the author, she could have done this and then done this because then this would have made more
Okay,
sense.
but again, just like
You
common
always
sense.
do that.
I do, but again, like this book, I didn't feel the need to. Like, thank you for being a normal person. Like, I just feel like when I'm doing that, it's because I think it's stupid choices. So,
Damn.
yeah. So I'm feeling refreshed and not
Hook,
angry,
line,
which
and
makes me.
sinker.
All right, whatever. So I have high hopes for the next book. And then like we're gonna be gearing up for Christmas Tree Farm right around the holidays, which I think is going to make me feel so good, so good.
So good, so
Yeah,
good, so good. Dun, dun, dun.
Hallie always sings it way longer than I like want her to. Like I think she'll do like one line and then it keeps going. So, anyways, all right, whatever, freak shows. We will see you next week for another wholesome read.
Goddamn.
Yeah, we're not freak.
Cinnamon bun bookstore
Yep.
by Lori Gilmore.
Yep. So we'll see you next week for that. And we like books, so we already like the book. You know what I'm saying? Like we are one
We
with
like books,
Hazel.
so we like them.
Yeah, we like books. She has a bookstore. And
That's crazy deductive reasoning, but yes.
but based off the Q&A, this is actually at that time it was Lori Gilmore's favorite, she said, was Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. So I'm interested now. Now I'm intrigued. Okay.
Well, maybe okay. We'll talk
What? No,
about it.
what? Tell me.
No, I was just hypothesizing, but I realized I didn't read the book yet, so I should probably wait.
Well, tell me your hypothesis. We'll see if you're right.
Well, I just feel like, it's very much like Hazel's like the soft spoken, kind of like mysterious, like head in a book
Yeah.
girl,
Yeah.
and Noah's like the cute in your
Fishman.
face party fisherman boy.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting
Trope.
dynamic, yeah.
All right. What is your hypothesis then? Like what?
Well, obviously they're gonna fall in love.
Okay. So you were just saying it's interesting that that's the vibe we're going into
Yes.
this with. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. I'm eager. I'm excited. And so we'll see you guys next week for the coverage of Cinnamon Bun Bookstore.
Woo.
Woo! All right. We'll see you guys next
All
week.
right. Bye.
Bye.